the country doing great jobs. So to me, it's just continuing to help animals, push the profession, give alternatives, talk to them, and learn. And for me, I try and learn every day, try and grow and learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, we even started pushing our own conference. We started putting together our own educational forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's education, but yeah, the growth is like, there's no specific, I don't have any specifics in my head. Like if we stopped today of like growing and just did great job, of which we do a great job, continue to do a great job, that would be fine. But something drives me constantly.
You have a drive of, I couldn't even compare it to anything. I wish I had like half of the drive. Like I mean, I obviously have the drive to like grow and do better in my own business and whatever.
I mean, enough drive to make this happen.
Yeah, and
podcast.
That's great. And that's great. I just like, man, I see the like stars in your eyes when you talk about things like that, and I'm like, man. I haven't met many people. It's so intimidating
to look at all the barriers around you and say, I can still get past all of them, right? It's hard to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
and
again,
it comes natural. It's not like it's not like money driven. It's not like, it's just that you just want to do better, and do more. Like,
I don't know. I think some of it depends on where you come up and how you come up. Like again, the reason we had to move to Texas was we were bankrupt basically, and we didn't have any money, and so I grew up very economically challenged, I guess you could say that. So that's one drive, even though the funny thing is that's not what drives me as the primary thing. Of course, everybody wants to do well, and you have to live well and all those pieces to it. But the drive is really, I guess it really goes back to when I was little and had, quote unquote, was shy, had no friends, and the animals helped me. So I know how important that is, was to me. So that's what always drives me. Like, I always get the question, when are you going to retire? And I've got the exact answer. I'll tell you exactly when. Never. And again, do I you may change how much you work or where you work or how much you advise or just a lot of factors in it. But I love the profession. I love the people that are in it. I love what we do and again, a lot of professions have big impacts, but I think we have an impact that a lot of people do know, but don't really think of how much it is of keeping the animals happy and healthy with their families and their little kids and, older people who have to get up every day to walk the dog that keeps them, healthier and living longer and have a better quality of life. It's just
that's actually not even something I had even considered. I mean, I obviously like I've seen the kids in the lobby waiting for their pet to come out of a surgery or even just a treatment or whatever. I've seen the old people here, but I never considered like, wow, this pet may have died or may have had this problem that would have kept it from living healthier, and that would have affected this elder person's life in a negative way because now the dog can't walk, so they don't take the dog on a walk, so now their health is less is deteriorating a little. But that's
even crazier during pandemic period, right? This was the early stages of Guardian was surviving through all of that. And I mean, there's documented studies on increased ownerships of pets just throughout the nation, but I assume the entire world that was locked down.
And I think that's a good thing. It's an important point what you brought up with the pandemic, and I think that's one of the reasons we were able to grow so rapidly and so well is because of the mindset. And this is maybe controversial, or this may be, sound.
Let it fly. We love it.
No, it may sound like, it may sound like try and work people to death, which is not at all what we do. But one of my biggest premises through the pandemic, as you guys know, was the answer is yes, because people were getting diverted. People were getting refused service all over the place.
Dude, I got an email from one of my local animal hospitals that said, like, we are over capacity. We just cannot see you.
And to some degree, I'm not saying everybody wasn't, There's ways to work efficiently. There's ways to do that. So we turned nobody away during the pandemic. We were getting people, and we still get people, but from 5 hours away, different states. And I will give you the exact story, which I've given many times, that sort of hit it home about how animals are important to us and how you have to think of it as how much they impact us. It was a big dog, and he was retching and vomiting or trying to vomit, and he went to a great hospital that could have taken care of him. They said they were at capacity. They sent him to another great hospital, and they really are great hospitals. And they said, no, we can't handle you. You got to go up to Guardian. Fortunately, the dog died 10 minutes before he got to us. He had a twisted stomach, a GDV, gastric dilatation of volvulus, and which happens in large breed dogs. Either of those places could have temporarily helped him if they had, been efficient, I guess. And I'm not throwing them under the bus by any means, but that's what I always thought about situations like that happening. And we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But so anyway, I don't know how we got onto this or how I got onto it. You brought up the pandemic and our growth and what we're doing long term. And that just solidified why we do it and how we do it and what we should do.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that of all the thousands of cases we see, you see a year, that one particular moment stood out so much in your mind, and that for you made it so worth the stress of the obviously it's not worth going through the pandemic, but what I mean is like worth how much stress everybody here had to go through just to make sure that didn't happen to more people. You know what I mean? Like, because we very easily could have been like, hey,
nobody's ever be perfect. But think of it, I tell everybody, it's your best friend, it's your mom, it's your cousin's dog. Yeah. What are you going to do? And most of the time you're going to figure it out. There's always extraneous things or things that you can't control and that but try and think of it that way. It's like your friend's dog or your cat or rabbit or whatever it is. It's important, and so I think that is part of the growth thing of just keeping that mindset up. And
if there's more guardians, then we'll have less problems like that.
We try. That is the ultimate goal, is to keep things like that. I had another thought, but of course, that old.
It'll make its way back around.
It'll come back around, yeah. Like it always does. Yeah. So never planning on stopping. It's not, and just to again grow other people, encourage them. We were talking about how animals impact kids and elderly, and there are some negative ones. Like again, I'll give a bad story. We had an animal that passed away. It was very tragic. It was a very complicated case, and it's an elderly gentleman, and he's like, that's all I had in life. And so, and it's breaks your heart. It's sad sometimes. It's really tough. You don't want to see them going through that. And that is the hard part about specialty medicine, is that these are really, not every single one, but the majority, a lot of them are really complicated cases that have risk with them. And I guess I'll jump on this anyway because I love saying this. There are no odds in life. Like if somebody says you have a 90% chance that this is going to work, you don't have a 90% chance. You either have a 0% chance because yours didn't work, or you had a 100% chance because yours did work.
Right.
So
that's an interesting
just the mindset that we have to think about is even if it's a 99% chance that it's going to work, somebody's that one.
Right.
And if you're the one, if you're a cat, if you're a dog, it's 100%.
Right. Your life isn't the general statistic. Your life is your exact statistic.
Right. And it doesn't mean you should shy away from doing things that, have a 99% chance of having a good outcome. Like every once in a while, something that we thought was going to do has a bad outcome. You don't stop doing it. Yeah. It just, you try and learn from that and try and reduce it. Maybe it's 98%, you can reduce it to 99% or increase it to 99%. But going back to the impact on people, was just devastating to talk to this man. It really, really was. Like this. So on the positive side, when you help them,
feels great.
Feels great. But that's why I really love that we have June here.
Yeah.
Who does our
how do you specifically handle when you have a case like that? I mean, does it? I know that we've talked about this in our kind of test run episodes about like compassion fatigue and how it kind of affects this industry pretty hard, because you get to a point where you're like, I kind of have to turn it off in order to provide a good service. Otherwise, you would just be an emotional wreck every day if you were the kind of person that like it affects deeply, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I do get that question, and I actually coach our new vets and pre-vets on this. You never lose your empathy and sympathy for bad situations, but you have to focus on all the good and all the positive things that happen. And in the moment, it sucks when it's not good. And again, but I don't know, you've got to find whatever works for you, you know, your memory palace of where you can encapsulate into one little room all the bad stuff, and try not to go into that room that often.
Right, yeah.
I'm familiar with that room.
Right. So, because it can be devastating for certain people. I think that's the hardest part they always say in veterinary medicine. People get into veterinary medicine because they're empaths and they're empathetic. And you should be, we are, but at the same time,
that means it hurts more.
Right, but at the same time, you have to realize. I hate to tell all two of you guys, you're going to die someday.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm just going to try and live forever. No, seriously, and that doesn't minimize it. You know, like it's.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
No, so that it really truly is that. You have to compartmentalize it, not in a bad way, but in a very good way, so you can keep moving forward and helping more. Like sometimes I'll see people post online, veterinarians, usually a lot of times young veterinarians, but I can't believe I lost an animal today, and can I even go forward? And the short answer is, don't get into veterinary medicine if you don't expect something to pass away.
Right.
And nobody's perfect, and bad things happen. And it doesn't mean you don't beat yourself up and want to improve and try and do better. But it means that you've got to realize that's going to be part of it at some point.
Right, yeah.
It's like if you only drove your whole life, you're eventually going to probably get into some car accident.
Right, yeah.
And maybe a minor fender bender, you may hit whatever.
It's not if, it's when.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've got to build something internally or be prepared that that's going to happen. Or again, be an engineer. Like you got to, I think the teaching of people that are getting into veterinary medicine, is actually maybe not stressed enough. You know, that's going to happen. You're going to...
Yeah, just because you love animals doesn't mean that this is the right field for you. That might be the reason that it's not the right field for you, is because you love them so much.
Exactly.
It's gonna destroy you when you know, one out of every 100 pets you see is going to die. You know?
Right.
There should be an expected emotional tax, right, to the...
Yeah.
Do you think that the vet schools prepare students for this? Prepare the vets for those kinds of realities?
I think they do to some degree, of course. Everyone has different programs on it. I almost think it should be, I'm making this crazy thing up, some test you have to take before you even apply for vet school or get into
almost
vet
like
school.
Some kind of like
you need to park in a little dark room and tell you animal's gonna die. Can you handle that?
Oh my God.
Not exactly that, because I see a lot of online
hazing process.
Yeah, hazing. Like you gotta
Like a
waterboard them.
hazel?
Yeah.
But for the good of you, because you know, and the good of your patients, because if somebody leaves veterinary medicine because they couldn't hack it, which is fine because that's not right for everybody, and maybe they need to be a groomer. I'm not knocking groomers. Groomers are important. The guy that makes all the colored dogs is amazing. Anyway, ADHD. There we go, off the track. But But once somebody leaves the profession, you have one less person to help animals.
Right.
So I think not only through vet school, but pre-vet, it needs to be emphasized that it is thank God, a small, tiny part of your day and what you do and what you experience.
Especially in a hospital like this.
Right. But it's there.
Yeah.
It's always going to be there. And maybe it isn't stressed enough people looking into the profession. And it's a wonderful profession. It's phenomenal. I was just interviewing the potential interns, and I always tell everybody this: we have the best profession. You can work as little or as much as you want. You can work in any species that you want. You can work anywhere in the country you want or out of the country. One of the veterinarians we interviewed, or he's in vet school right now, he wants to be an aquatic animal veterinarian.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he's at the SeaWorld right now, and they anesthetized a shark, and they were taking some mass off the shark. So anyway, that's just one little example that there's this breadth of, things that we can do. But you have to be, even them, the aquatic vets, have to be prepared that, that shark may not have made it. He did make it, thank God, and all the rest of that, and they helped him, and it's wonderful. But it takes the right person. Just like I couldn't be, wouldn't want to be, couldn't be a human neurologist.
Yeah.
For example, years ago, and I'll probably get all these statistics wrong or whatever, there was some human pediatric cardiac surgeon or transplant surgeon who was literally at the top of his game, probably the number one in the country, and he committed suicide, this human guy. And because he had I don't know, I'm exaggerating it, 99.9% success rate. It was something super high. He was
like the guy.
He's
the best. Yeah,
he's the best. He's the top 5 guys in the country, or women in the country, or whoever in the country. And he committed suicide because he couldn't live with, and that's why I don't want to go to human medicine, for example. I know that about myself. I don't want to, even if it's whatever, a human die. I can't handle that personally on my day-to-day.
Right.
But some human pediatric cardiac surgeons, however they cope or deal, but they knew about it going. Hopefully they knew about it going.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're getting too deep in that. I don't know if I have the exact answer, but it's all I have to tell everybody on listening is, it's part of what you have to figure out how to deal with.
Yeah, I know. I feel like at some point, every kid, if you were a kid that loves animals, I loved Animal Planet, I loved Discovery,
Discovery.
I was all about all of those shows.
Marlon Perkins.
Yes.
But knowing what I know now, there's no way I could have been a veterinarian.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's, because, I think, what is it?
Every kid always says, I want to be a vet.
I always wanted to be a vet.
Yeah.
I get it. It's wonderful, and you should be.
Seems great,
but you need
it's
to
just
know.
Puppies and kittens all day.
Right. Just like some people can't deal with blood, and
Yeah.
I get it. That's why
I love recording it all. I love being in the surgeries and seeing it and having the doctor explain and tying the story together and making it look nice and all that. Having to be the person in charge of this being's life, regardless of the fact, human, pet, whatever. I'm just that's a lot for me. I remember there were specifically there was one surgery I was in with Dr. Runge, and it was a heart thing. I think they were taking off, what is it, what's the outer layer?
Pericardial sac.
Yeah, that.
Pericardectomy.
And there was just this moment in the entire surgery suite where he said, okay, I'm cutting now. He was cutting something close to the heart. And it felt like they pulled the air out of the room for everybody. Everybody paused for a millisecond.
Yeah.
But that millisecond,
that's that literal do or die time, dude. Oh my God.
That millisecond was too much for me. I was I can't imagine if I was in charge of any of this, the anesthesia, the holding the instrument,
dude, I don't even hold other people's babies. I'm I don't want to be in charge of that life.
Yeah, infants. I'm that's all right. But it's incredible that you and all these other doctors have the capacity to know that this life is in your hands. Or even if it's not a surgery, this, for you, doing the neuro stuff, just having to treat a patient.
Medications.
Yeah, medications, stuff like that. a little too much pressure for me.
From my understanding too, there's plenty of doctors who could be doing surgeries but don't. Like,
right, everybody, again, some don't feel comfortable or don't want to take that responsibility, but that's the beauty of the profession. You don't have to. There's so many aspects of being a veterinarian. I don't know why they no, I know why they do it. There's industry veterinarians, that help develop new medications, or there's ones that are part of the government for food, health, safety, and all those types of things.
Ones that make the instruments.
Yeah, there's so many different nuances and different avenues you could be, because maybe surgery isn't right for them.
Well, I feel like we're getting deep now, and you probably have a busy day ahead of you, and I feel like we can probably cap here.
I love this. We'll do it again.
Yeah, we'll definitely obviously have you on again, and maybe we'll get you on with a guest next time also.
Yeah.
But it was definitely good to get you in here by yourself, hear your story, hear how Guardian has become what it's become. A lot of that was stuff I didn't even know or realize.
Yeah. I mean, 7 years is just Guardian, but obviously the seed that sparked Guardian starts way before that.
Yeah,
well before.
It's a long.
Starts with Baby Berg.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's my example. Like, for anybody out there and whatever you're doing, you're gonna get knocked down. Like when that day that I had to sign that paperwork in 2008, well, I signed it in 2007. It was like, talk about the wind taken out of you. It felt like somebody literally just crushed me. I was down on one knee, and it wasn't intentional from them or whatever.
Right.
But no, I don't begrudge anything at all, but I'm just like, I just put my head down. I work like a maniac, like I always do. I work 6-7 days a week, and got through it and stood up and said, because that was a big step, going, hey, I'm just gonna start over. I was whatever I am. I was
after
late 40s.
Thinking you had already made it.
40s, kids were there. Yeah, I could have just cruised. So anyway, but that's my advice always, figure out what's important to you, and then, when you get knocked down, you get up, and
Don't
you get
stop
knocked
till
down
you're
again.
proud.
Yeah, and then it's the whole journey. That's the exciting part of trying to improve, grow. That's what gets me excited. One of the things. Anyway, thank you guys. This was amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Do the thing. Hit the bell. And we'll see you in the next episode of whatever this podcast is called.
Cue the outro.